discussion from webinar format where you can't see the people in the room to more of a roundtable meeting. And so, given the topic of solo aging and the conversations we have, if you'd like to join the after party, I've invited Wendl if she can attend. But that's just an opportunity after the conversation for us to gather. So if you're on Zoom, you'll have that option towards the end of our discussion today. So with that, I am really excited to introduce you all to Wendl Kornfeld, who is regarded, as far as I can see, is one of a handful of thought leaders in this space of solo aging. And Wendl's got a great story, so I don't want to steal any of those punchlines. But Wendl, before we dive in to our discussion with you today, tell us a little bit about your background and what got you interested in this topic.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Hello, everybody. Um, okay, so I am a solo ager, even though I have been married for well over 40 years. My husband's 11 years older than I am. He's not in great health. I am a caregiver. And I realized to be strong for him, I need a support team to help keep me strong. And around the end of 2013, I started thinking how my husband and I have no adult kids. We were doing all this stuff for our parents. And of course, kept thinking, well, who's going to do this for us? So I realized I needed to find other people like me and start maybe a little movement of my own and among us. And I thought of what Gandhi said, and he had said a famous quote, something to the effect of, be the change that you want in the world. So there was no group. So I said, okay, I'm doing this. So that was 2013. By 2014, I figured out exactly how I was going to do this. And I started running little focus groups. I'd had 4 focus groups, 4 different groups of people. None of us had children. We were all at that point in our 50s, 60s, maybe a couple in the 70s. And we met in private homes, and I had forms that I'd made. We talked about our fears. Some of us felt embarrassed or ashamed of these solo agers not having a family. I'd say around the holidays, that was particularly acute. So we started talking about, okay, so what are we going to do? And one of the things we came up with and agreed upon was that we were going to have to join forces with each other. So these 4 focus groups were very, very successful. And my synagogue here in New York heard about it, and they said, why don't you bring it to us? So in 2014, December of that year, I started a little group called Community is Family. And 6 people came to that first meeting. Today, there are over 80 people in our group and on our mailing list. No, they don't all come to the meetings at the same time, but I always follow up each meeting with a newsletter for the benefit of the people who weren't there. And it's an informative group all about what resources do we need, how do they work, where do we find them, what is it we really need from each other. And in addition to the monthly informative Zoom meetings, once or twice a month, we all meet, or many of us meet, at the synagogue or at field trips in person. And that's how we build bonds, personal bonds with each other. So Community as Family is both an educational group, and the result of this group is that great friendships, mutually supportive friendships have been formed. So since then, yeah, do you have a question, Steve?
Oh, no, this is amazing.
Okay.
No, keep on going.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry
All right.
about that,
Okay.
Wendl.
If anything is not clear and anyone wants me to stop to clarify, happy to do it.
Well, actually, Lenora says, I'm in New York and Jewish. What synagogue is this?
It's Temple Emanu-El. and it is
Okay.
for the members of that synagogue. Hi, Lenore. So it became so popular that various Jewish organizations started interviewing me, and then senior organizations. Next thing I know, long story short, in the past 10 plus years, I have spoken to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in 5 different countries to talk about community as family, the basis of exactly how I formed it, what it is, what it's not, how it works. And I have spoken to organizations, to houses of faith, um, lots of individuals who wanted to start small groups. So the word has been out for the past 10 plus years, and it's been the most rewarding stuff I've ever done, Steve.
I love it.
So,
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this topic and the passion and the purpose and the planning that people that are brave enough to come to a discussion like this one or join a group like yours are. I find it very refreshing. It's people that are, even though it's challenging, they're they're empowered to take the steps to figure out how to live a purposeful life no matter what happens down the road.
yes.
And yeah, you are truly a pioneer. 2013, because you know the back then the term was elder orphans, right?
Yeah.
And and
Exactly.
but what I love is I like the fact that you call this community as family. And even though you just heard that I'm trying to start this little solo aging club, um I'm almost sort as I'm listening to you, I'm almost sort of like saying it's a community as family club, and resources for solo agers, or it's, but I like it. I like not having labels.
Mm-hmm.
What a great term that you frame there. Now, what I love about having you on is that not only are you an inspiration to sort of, hey, if you see a problem, if you see something that concerns you, you can just create, bring community together around this problem, and seeing how other people might be going through the same thing. So you're an inspiration from that perspective. But what I'm really intrigued by is you've got basically since 2013, um, almost 10 years of experience in having dialogue with people around, okay, who will take care of me if something happens and I don't have immediate family or a network to support me.
Yes, exactly. And I like the way you said people can do this themselves. I'm gonna meet you and raise you on that word can. I'm gonna say must. All right. I sometimes say to people, look, life doesn't deliver right to your door, but you can place an order. All right. But you got to go out and pick it up. All right. So take that initiative. Um, in addition to all the, I wanted to point out also that aging solo is not an American baby boomer phenomenon. It's worldwide. In 2018, I addressed the United Nations Committee on Aging. There were people from all over the world there. I did a PowerPoint for them. And everyone was saying the same thing. We have people like this in our community. So our time has come, folks. It's a great time to be a solo ager because we've never had this kind of publicity, this attention. There's so much more we need the world to recognize and do. In the meantime, we're going to do what we can individually. So I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to be your cheerleader.
I,
Okay?
I,
Going to be
I love
cheerleading.
it. I
All
love
right.
it. And we've already got a bunch of questions coming in, but what I think we should do, Wendell, you gave me a slide deck,
Yes.
and what I think, why don't we start going through that, and
Sure.
maybe we can pause a few times
Sure.
and we'll answer some questions and have some dialogue. And I think this is going to be great. So, folks, keep the questions and comments coming in. We'll make sure to get to those.
Mm,
And I'm pulling up Wendl's slide deck here.
great.
Okay.
Okay. So why do we need a support team? All right. All right. So my first bullet point, I say, people need people, channel your inner Barbara. Okay. When that song came out, people who need people, even as a teenager, I said to myself, that's kind of dumb. I don't get it. Of course, people need people. Even people who don't like other people still need people. So what does that even mean? Well, now that I'm an older person and I'm a solo ager, I have taken that lyric and I've turned it around a little bit. It's people who have people. Those are the luckiest people in the world. All right. Very often people will say, I don't have anyone. Yeah, that a lot of people say that. They feel it and they're probably right. But if you have people, you are lucky. So we're going to explore ways you can have more people in your life that are supportive. And I have to remind everyone that solo aging is not a one-way street. It's not only about what people can do for you, you're also impelled to do that for others. It's mutually beneficial. We help each other. All right. So
I
that's
love it.
that's my Anna Barbara. People who have people are lucky. All right. The two things you'll need most someday. Back in the early 90s, I took a certificate course at the local college called the Psychology of Aging. I was, and I learned a lot about what it means to get older and or old. And boy, was that a wake up. And on the because things are going to happen you don't have any context for. It's never happened to you before. Like maybe you're not working anymore. Maybe your spouse is gone. Maybe your friends have moved away. Maybe your body and your mind aren't doing their thing as good as they did. So how do you prepare for that? Well, the very first night of that course, I learned something that has guided me ever since. The two things we're going to need when we are older. First one is resilience. If little things throw you, oh, baby, these big changes are really going to throw you. So you need to learn resilience so you can keep up with these changes that are inevitably going to come up in your life. And they don't have to be all negative stuff either. But getting older, definitely you can count on change. So in our resources resource list that Steve had put on the website for you to use does have a great book about resilience. I read the book, I went to the course that the writers presented, and I think anyone motivated to be more resilient will benefit from it. So what's the other thing they said we're going to need? Would you believe community? They said if you have not started working on your community, say by the time you're in your late 40s, it's going to be a kind of a hard row once you get much older. You are going to need people and you need to meet as many people as possible, throw out a wide net, get to know people, and you must be able to work within a community. You can't do old age alone. So between those two things, that has really guided my work. Now,
I
you
love
don't have
it.
to call you don't have to call it a team. You can call it a tribe. You can call it a community. How about your board of directors? That's another popular one. And of course, you're the chairman of the board. All right. So call it whatever you want. You don't even have to call it community as family. In fact, I always encourage groups that I speak to or small groups of individuals. I'll say, come up with your own name. All right. Branding. We'll get to that in a moment about how to do that. Actually, I can do it right now. If you give your group a name, all right, it makes everyone feel more connected and more empowered, and they'll have more an investment to make sure that they'll be inspired to help it thrive. So, come up with a name that you like. Like if you ever wanted to have your own rock group, give it that name. But you don't you don't have to call it community as
what
family. Whatever works, works.
what a great suggestion, Wendell. And I've heard it, seen this in action when a group of people are supporting somebody who has a recent diagnosis, like they might call them, Wendell's Warriors or something like that.
Right.
And it really it does create a new fun dynamic. And oh man, it like just think of the ideas here, folks, that if you can build this support team, getting them like baseball jerseys or something with the
Yeah.
name you came up with. And I love this. Boy, I love how you're framing this stuff, Wendell.
Oh, well, well, thank you. Uh, that's good to hear. All right. All right.
Okay.
You've inspired me to keep on going. All right. So who's
Yeah.
on my team? Who's on my team? Who's in my tribe? Who's in my community? It goes without saying, friends, of course. Friends are so important, and they don't have to be all solo agers by any means. No, no way. Friends are friends. All right. And the most important thing is that they should be dependable. And most of all, they care about what happens to you. All right. Everybody should have people in their lives that know who you are, where you are, and how you are. And again, it's not a one-way street. You're there for them too. Neighbors, all right. A lot of people say, I don't know, I don't even know my neighbors. Well, let's talk about neighbors. We need to get to know our neighbors better, whether you're in an urban, suburban, or even rural environment. Neighbors are really important. The biggest reason is they're right there. They're not virtual. They're there. And very often they are more available than your best friend who lives 3,000 miles away. All right. So get to know your neighbors. I've made great friends. I had dogs for 30 years. So I went on a lot of dog walks around my neighborhoods. I met a lot of other dog owners, and a lot of great friendships were started because our dogs became interested in each other first. All right. So that's one way to do it. If you meet somebody in your neighborhood or in your building or in your whatever, if you hit it off, take the initiative, invite them to go for coffee or something, beat them outside that environment, get to know each other. If you live in an apartment building, talk to the management company or the co-op or the condo board. Tell them, I want to build community in this building. How can we do that? And in our building where we live in New York City, they do provide those kind of things from time to time. They'll make it possible for people to meet and mix and mingle. But again, take that initiative. Find out what can be done. Don't worry about what's not being done. Say, why not? If you build it, they will come. Trust me. All right. The next one is colleagues. If you're working, definitely you probably have some colleagues that you're on a great wavelength with. Those are the people that you want to keep in your team as well. And I got to tell you, since I retired officially some years ago, I'm still in touch with so many of those wonderful colleagues, jobs that went back 40 plus years, because again, it's all about the relationship, right? Professionals. Okay, you're going to need professionals. We all do. So by that, I mean, they're going to fill in the gaps. They're going to provide things that you need to keep strong, that can't be done so easily by lay people. So you'll need an elder law or a state attorney to get your vital documents in order. By that, I mean your will or your trust, your healthcare proxy. Yeah, actually, you don't need a lawyer for a healthcare proxy. We'll get to that later. You'll need a lawyer to help you draw up a financial power of attorney to make financial decisions for you if you can't for any reason. You'll need a good accountant or financial advisor. Remember, the better your fiscal state is, the more choices you will have. So we need to do everything possible to keep fiscally strong. You'll also need, if you belong to a house of faith, your clergy and the lay leaders within your congregation, they probably have tremendous support systems available, and they have good contacts too with community-based organizations. So definitely don't write off clergy and lay leaders. And then we have what's called the third places. Third places are things that are not your home and not your work. And we're going to delve with the next slide a bit more into third places, how to find new people. Okay. So
Okay.
next
Well,
team.
now
Yeah, yeah,
that sounds great, Wendell, but let me just so we have a little bit of interaction.
sure.
How about we take a little break from the slide
Yeah,
deck? We'll
yeah.
answer a few of the questions. This one I love, and Arlene asks, and I was wondering this too. Tell us a little bit about your name, Wendell, which you spelled Wndl.
Right.
It's
I know.
unusual to see a
It
name like that.
is. It is. You don't need a last name with an unusual first name. Just ask Madonna or Cher. Okay. Um, it's actually a version of my great grandmother's name, which was Wendla with an A at the end. But I'm just Wendell. And very often people will look at me quizzically when I spell it. And all I can think of is, buy a vowel, Wendell, buy a vowel. Something's missing there. But yeah, it's 5 letters. Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet you that your mail doesn't communicate that
No,
get that right. Okay, let me get up here and I'm gonna try to address a few of these and then we'll get back to the slide deck because
sure,
what you're
sure,
presenting is great. But I know
sure.
sometimes there's a lot of really cool okay.
I
Uh,
welcome it.
Mary says, what is the breakdown of the people that have joined your group? Single, married? Like, is
Okay.
there?
Yeah, great question. And let me also say, it's in addition to my community as family group at the synagogue, I have a very informal group of individuals who live around me who are part of my world. So I have two teams, really. All right. So at the synagogue, at the more formal group and the bigger group, after a while, it wasn't just people who had no adult children. We did have married couples, do have married couples that have no children. Then we started getting people who have children, but they're estranged from them or they live far away from them. So they feel like solo agers. And then we started getting people who had adult children, had a great relationship with them, and they lived in the same area. So why were they with us? Because again, they were living alone. Maybe they didn't want to tell or involve their situation with their adult kids, and they wanted to feel empowered. What do I need in order to keep living by myself alone, smart and strong? So I would say for the most part, it's probably 75% solos, no kids, but we welcome everyone. I feel that if you understand where we're coming from, what the focus of our work is, and you want to be with us, hey, come on board.
I love it. All right, this is great. And that's one of the confusing things about the term solo aging. But when you call
Yes.
it community as family, it's just these are new family members. Okay, but okay. I love this question from Deborah, and we talked about this before we turned on the mic. Does this work for people who do not have a great deal of money?
Yes, it does. I will give the caveat that, yeah, once you start looking into solutions of some real big time adult grown up problems, yeah, sometimes they really require some money. Um, this is not a financial show, but yeah, some resources will require money. But there is nothing financially uh, pertinent to friendship and caring and love. So finding the right people for those relationships, like I said before, who cares what happens to you? All right. That's what it's really about.
Okay, and folks, this solution that Wendell's talking about, in my opinion, is the solution for affordability. Is the more we can build a support network where we're not writing a check, that saves our money so that we can write a check for things that we need or when we don't have a backup of a friend or a resource or a volunteer support. Wendell's
Bingo.
located in New York City. Um, Michelle asks, will you kindly elaborate on topics that your group does not cover for the individuals? Is everything open, or do you have
Everything.
sort of?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Never been asked that one. I do have a list of at least 50 topics that we have covered over the past 10 years. And some of them we revisit because new information is always coming down the pike, like frauds and abuse, changes in laws that affect us, especially the social umbrella, the benefits and whatever. If we hear, we keep away from politics unless because it's divisive, but we talk about politics if there is a law that affects us or a new bill coming up or something's coming up or something that we love going away. We need to always be on top of what's happening and what those resources are, whether it's our city, it's our state, or if it's our country. But we talk about, when do you use a walk-in medical, one of these emergency medical places where you can just walk in and wait your turn, as opposed to a hospital ER. We'll talk about stuff like that. We even talk about private equity. We've done that several times. Private equity has been buying up assisted living places, funeral parlors, nursing homes, all sorts of stuff. And boy, does that change the dynamic of that business. And it's not always such a good thing, but we have to know what's happening in the world that affects us or may affect us.
I love it. Okay, let's do one more question, then we'll get back to the slide deck. And I like this one because it's framing this group that you have created. May Owa, I know I didn't pronounce her name correct or their name correctly. Please share some positive impact you've seen or testimonies since the inception of your group. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
curious. Can you share some stories of where this really worked out for one of your members?
Yes. Wow. Especially, okay, I'll give one example from each group that I have, the small unstructured one of just friends, and then the big one. So the big one through the organization, through the temple, once people got to know each other, all right, I said the purpose of the community as family is not to create friendship, but that is the result of it, all right? People have become each other's healthcare proxies. They have become their dining out, let's take a boat ride, let's go to the museum partner. They have been helping each other find new jobs. They help each other find new homes. They help each other relocate. They sit with them, like if you have a loss and you're sitting Shiva, or you have people that will be there for you. It is if you want to start a club, all right, and that's happened too. Somebody said, I want to start a bridge club. I said, there should be a bridge club for us. And I went, I don't do bridge. That's your business. She started a bridge club among the members. So again, I am there to inspire people, to remind them we're in this together. I don't want my group to fizzle because I got frazzled. I want to inspire people to do this stuff. In terms of my own small group, here's a big success thing. 3 years ago, I had a hip replacement. My husband being not very strong himself and was not able to be a great support for me. But boy, did I have neighbors and friends and people from community as family. I had more people come to me and say, what can I do? Than I actually had jobs for them to do. But you know what? I never said no to anybody. I learned to say, yes, I could use help. All sorts of things. I had somebody come and she just made my bed. She changed the linens because I wasn't allowed to bend over and do all that tugging for a few weeks. So again, if I didn't have that small private group right among my neighbors and immediate friends, I would have had a much harder time.
Man, okay, great examples. Okay, so let's get back to our regularly scheduled program, and where we left off was
Yeah, third
on
places.
third places. Okay.
All right. Yeah, this is a gold mine. All right. Okay, so the third places, again, not your home, not your job. All right, so volunteer jobs. They're definitely so rich with potential. I have been doing a volunteer job in Central Park here in New York City for over 14 years. some of my closest friends and people I love most in the world and make me feel safest came from that. I have a lot of volunteer jobs at my synagogue. Same thing, working in a soup kitchen. I was a tour docent for several years because it's a historic synagogue. Again, we all have things that we feel passionate about and have great interest in. It could be anything. Find a place in your community that, because everybody needs helpers. What can I do to help? Next thing you know, you're with a bunch of other people who feel the same passion about that cause. So I recommend volunteer jobs. Gyms, right? Chances are, if you belong to a gym, you're seeing the same people very often. To illustrate, I have a close friend who kept seeing this younger woman at the gym, and next thing you know, they're talking at the gym all the time and laughing. Then they go out for coffee. And long story short, this younger woman has become the daughter my friend always wished she had. So you never know. Classes and courses, you sign up again for things that interest you, especially if it's more than one session. So you see the same people. Familiarity, seeing people more often than just that once, is what helps build the beginning of the bond. So, for example, in 2002, I started taking Italian lessons in my neighborhood. Well, I did that class for over 11 years, once a week. And again, those people from my Italian class, great people, and they're a big part of my life. Houses of faith, we've talked about how churches and synagogues, how they can help create opportunities. You don't have to even be religious. It's like churches are more than just sitting and listening to a sermon. They have so much community stuff. So if there's a house of faith, maybe you could talk to the clergy or a lay leader there. Find out what does it take to join? All right, what's required? Do I need to feel obligated? Do I have to believe in God? But again, that's a great place to go. Clubs, community bulletin boards in my apartment building in New York. There's a bulletin board in the lobby, and we have people saying, I'm starting a mahjong club, I'm starting a bridge club. There's a little amateur theater club in our building. There's the Widows Club. There are so many little groups that have started in our apartment complex, and you just tell, excuse me, you just tell people, this is what I'm doing. Who wants to join? And again, if you build it, they will come. Chances are there's somebody out there who's just waiting for someone like you to say, hey, you want to come with me? All right. So try it. Put a hand out. There'll be another hand grabbing yours. And here's a great story from a community-based organization. I think a lot of you are aware of nextdoor.com. This is a national organization, and it's all online, and it's usually by zip code or area, and you put all sorts of stuff on it. And I'm not talking about, selling your old bugle or something. I'm talking about, this is what's happening in our neighborhood, or I'm looking to do this. Can anyone recommend a restaurant for my kid's birthday party? The sky's the limit. This very week, I was on a solo aging course, not even a class, a one-off online. And there was a woman in Florida who is a solo ager. And she said, I decided to go on Nextdoor, and I just wrote, I'm an older lady, I have no kids, looking to make some friends, maybe people like me, so we can talk about, how we're going to deal with stuff. She said the next morning, my email blew up. There was something like 140 responses. Again, if you build it, they will come. All right. And she's only been doing this for a couple of months. It's still a work in progress, but it's working. It's becoming what she wanted it to be. So again, start something that you want for yourself, have a good idea of what you want from it, and then put the message out.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I love that example of the woman who used Nextdoor. And it's a great example of how many people are out there waiting for something like this movement. But it's also just a great reminder, and you said it a little bit earlier. It's important that we're all vulnerable, but it's also important that we're all very watchful and cautious as
Oh,
well.
yes.
So out of those 100 people that responded, there might be two or three bad characters there. And so, when we did our online dating discussion, one of our speakers said to have a buddy like who you clear things with,
Yes.
and so like for if you want to take that approach that woman did, is maybe have a friend or somebody who you trust and say, hey, I'm going to send out this message, but I'd like you to be
Yes.
my wingman on this journey.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. The fact that was the first question she was asked. They said, how do you keep out the bad actors? Except they used a different word. Uh, and it was like, yeah, well, it's my group. I get to decide. We're going to talk about more about how you could set up some boundaries, but certainly safety is always really, really important. Always meet strangers in a neutral place. Don't invite them to your home, please. Okay, so what kind of support do I want? What kind of group do I want? Now you can do it in the unstructured environment, like a church or a synagogue or a senior center. In fact, I know one woman in Massachusetts who started her own group for solo agers in her local library. She went to the librarian. She said, I'm a widow. I don't have kids. I really need people. There's got to be people in this town like me, but I don't want to invite people to my house. It's what could we meet here? Well, the library said yes, and they publicized it. They gave a name to the group. And again, people came and they've been meeting for a couple of years now, and they've become great supportive friends. So if you do it in a structured environment, as I say, like a house of faith or a library or a community-based organization, you're going to have the benefit of having a place to meet. Chances are it'll be a place that everybody can get to easily enough. Sometimes they'll have a IT maven who can help you. Like if you want to go to Zoom, if you want to do stuff on Zoom, they can help that. So you can keep in touch that way if you're not keeping in touch in person as much. Um, some places will serve food, and I gotta tell you, food is a great unifier. It gets people down to really feeling like, yeah, we're kind of building something here together. Pass the salt, okay? So they maybe help you. Oh, they may be able to even help you coordinate communications. Send out the newsletter or we're going to be meeting at X time on this date. Maybe they can help you with that if you can't do it. So there are some benefits to having a structured environment. Now, if you do it as an independent group, you get to call the shots on pretty much everything. You can set the agenda. You'll be responsible for pretty much everything else. And that's why it's so important to inspire people to participate as much as possible. Again, if you get frazzled, it's going to fizzle. Okay. Uh, all right, so you want to make sure that there's a place to meet and there's a place where everyone can get to. But again, you get to call the shots. You won't be dependent on the opening and closing hours of an organization or some of their legal restrictions. They may have a law firm that says to that environment, no, you can't do that, too much liability. If you do your own, you get to decide. And if you do, for both of them, you should have housekeeping rules, okay? Um, Essentially, what you want to make sure is that everybody's expectations are aligned. You need consensus on expectations. And that means you want to make sure everyone knows what your group is and what it is not. All right. And what are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do for each other? Like see, I have some notes here. I'm just going to check my crib notes, make sure I keep everything. Like, are you okay with exchanging house keys? Maybe yes, maybe no. Are you okay with exchanging the names of people that you have as emergency contacts? That could be important at some point. Would you agree to be somebody's healthcare proxy? Again, a healthcare proxy is for everybody over 18. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need a notary. Your chances are your local Department of Health will have a free form online you can download. And essentially what you're doing is assigning somebody to speak for you about health-related matters if you cannot speak for yourself. And I don't mean it's because you're dying necessarily. It could mean you just conked out from a hit on the head, or it's very temporary. But again, you're allowing someone else to speak for what you would like. And of course, you have to have important conversations as to what that means, write it all down, and they have to agree to it. Even if they don't agree with your ideas, they have to agree to represent your wishes. So how far, and some of us have like SOS, like what contacts on our phone in case of an emergency. Again, are you willing to do that for somebody, to be that person? So it's important to have housekeeping rules and alignment of expectations. And excuse me, that way people, won't get disappointed. I'm going to anticipate a question. What if I can't reciprocate? What if I want all of these things? I know, having people I can rely on, but I'm housebound, or it's hard for me to get out and about, and I don't want to abuse the privilege of other people's generosity. It's a good question, and it's come up before. You know what? You do what you can. I like to think nobody's keeping score, like we did 5 things for her last year and nothing, I like to think that doesn't happen. But if you can invite people over for, I don't know, coffee and cake, order in some food from a local restaurant you all like, do them favors you can do from home or whatever. Stay in touch with them and do what you can. Okay. Let's see. Why don't we go to the next slide? Unless we have
Okay.
questions.
Oh, we've got plenty of questions, but
Okay,
let's do one more slide and then we'll
sure.
go back.
Okay. So one way to be empowered, one really important way, is to know what your resources are, number one, where they are, and very important, how do they work? You want to make sure you work with them correctly to get maximum benefit. And Steve has my list of resources, which you'll be able to access. So in addition, I like to create my own local database. I have a local database, I have a state, I put them all in one database that I created for myself. And a lot of those are what I shared with Steve. But this is a great group project. Everybody starts looking around their area to find out who does what that we can use if we get into trouble. It could be housing, it could be medical, it could be legal stuff, it could be delivery services, it could be transportation options, you name it, it's limitless, but create your own database. And this is something I hear a lot. People come to meetings and say, well, I heard about this and I heard about that. Why isn't there one place where it's all written down? Well, again, if it's not, you do it. All right. Take ownership of it. And again, it's a great way for you not to be doing all the work. Have everybody split up the topics and just say, bring us what we got and let's create something, then we'll distribute it. We'll all have a copy of it. And also subscribe to as many mailing lists and blogs and newsletters. They're informative and they're community building. Belonging to Steve's groups on his mailing list, there are countless mailing lists you can get on. There's no financial obligation, but you will find out who's doing what and how it works. And again, don't even write off, say, Facebook. I have a Solo Agers Facebook group just for Solo Agers here in the tri-state area. You can start something if it doesn't exist already. I met somebody on Facebook about 5 years ago, and The only thing we had in common is we seemed to know a lot of people in common. I would see her name on our mutual friends thing. And one day I sent her a private note and I said, we should meet. We know all these people, blah, blah, blah. And she said, sure. Well, it turns out she lives a block away from me. Who knew? And we've been in very close touch ever since. And she ended up joining my synagogue so she could be part of community as family. So throw out a big, wide net, meet people online through these blogs, through these newsletters, participate. You're going to meet people who are on your wavelength and you're going to learn from each other. My mantra is learn from everybody and then pay it forward. Share it with someone else. Okay.
Okay, I love it. Okay, let's take a break and let's address some of these questions. And here's I see a bunch of chatter on people. You've inspired a lot of folks, and there's sort of I see a bunch of messages where, hey, I'd like to connect with somebody in New York City or what have you. Folks, a couple of things. What you might do is send me an email if you want to connect with somebody and let me kind of come up with a way that I could connect you with the other person. What I do, I see some folks dropping their emails in, and that's perfectly okay. But somebody just did that, and they're sort of like, "Don't give this to anybody," and it's kind of hard when we're on a public forum like this.
Right.
So, and two things. We're going to start this little solo aging club. That's going to be more of a face-to-face interaction. So if there is somebody in your region, that might be a way to get things connected. Okay, but let me jump back into and um, while I'm scrolling back up the questions here,
Mhm.
I saw a bunch of messages about introverts and difficulty in making
Yep.
friends
Yes.
and having a healthcare like you maybe now you're in a wheelchair and it's sort of like holy cow, I never thought this was going to happen and I can't get around as much. Any words of wisdom on sort of building your network if those are complications that you're challenged with?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, this is one reason why my target group is people usually in their late 50s because yeah, we have to anticipate these changes. And yeah, sometimes for whatever reason that didn't happen. And we're in a crisis stage or something that's kind of hard to deal with. Yeah, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Yeah, it's a bit harder to start some of this community building at a certain age. Yeah, it doesn't mean it can't be done. And I've listed different ways you can start throwing out a wider net of people. It's not impossible. It'll be a little more challenging. Um,
Well, one thing, Wendell, that I've
mm,
observed in hosting so many of these is that
mm,
if you do have a diagnosis, or like for example, the best example I can say is this Parkinson's group in Northern Virginia here is that none of the people in this group ever imagined they would have a Parkinson's diagnosis, but they've come together with their group of people with the same diagnosis. And what they're sharing with us is that these are better friendships than they've ever had their entire life because they have this common bond of challenging this this diagnosis. And I actually feel like what you've done, Wendell, in your community as family is somewhat similar. It's like, hey, I'm concerned about my future because I don't have a network. You're coming together with like-minded people there.
yes, absolutely. And yes, to address the question about introversion, yeah. If you're introverted, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the way you're programmed. It's okay. If you're
Somebody
shy, it's
says, Beatrice says, introverts find an extrovert to befriend and tell them your situation. They'll love
yes.
helping. You know what, Beatrice, you are right on that. Extroverts love to have a job. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
And
You need a
okay, yeah.
cheerleader. Yes, you need a cheerleader. It will be
So
hard. Yes, you will have to step outside your comfort zone a little bit, but I love the idea of latching onto an extrovert.
yeah, and like somebody is talking about making friends is hard, and I haven't been in touch with former colleagues. Like, this is one of the things I've heard this story over and over again is go on Facebook, do a little bit of research, look up some of your former colleagues, people that you had a good connection with earlier in life, and reach out. A lot of times they're very flattered and complimented, and it can really lead to some additional connections. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, let's see here. I'm just trying to quickly go through here. Um, okay. Um, okay. A lot of your ideas seem to apply to people in relatively good health, folks who are disabled and health conditions, are living alone. Personally, I find it hard to commit to ongoing evening activities because my energy is unpredictable. I suspect some of us, this might be challenging. Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
you're,
yes,
but the person that's writing that is, you're not alone. I bet you there's other people in your same situation who will identify with you and could be more common bonds. So
yes,
if you've got a diagnosis, reach out to the organizations, and
yes,
perhaps that's a great way to start.
yes. And talk to your doctor, talk to your health providers, and see what they come up with as well. You may be surprised. But again, tell people, don't keep it to yourself. Tell people what you need and what you would like. Yeah, it maybe feel a little hard to do it. It's what we got to do. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, here's one. I mean, and it's kind of hard. Folks, I will tell you, Wendell, I tell people all the time the best place to grow old is New York City because you don't need to drive. You got
right.
everything, all the culture. You just everything can be delivered. You raise your hand
Yes.
and you're there. But we got Leslie who says, I'm in Montana. Rural areas come up
Yep.
so often for my patients, and there are some tech accessibilities. Any suggestions for
Yeah.
rural
That's a really
dwellers?
good point I did want to make. There's a difference between urban environments, suburban, especially if it's, like a car culture suburban, and rural. Rural is hard. And now with the talk of rural medical facilities maybe being cut back or eliminated or whatever, it's going to get harder. Um, you have to take advantage of what is available. I can tell you one place where I tell a lot of people to start is just about every county, I think, in the United States has their version of what's called Department of Aging. And you'll find out in your county exactly what's being done or not being done for older people. And you want to take advantage of what is being done. And if it doesn't exist and you have an idea, get in touch with them. Maybe it's time for you to do that Gandhi thing. All right. Be the change. Say, hey, do you ever get questions or requests about this? Hey, if there's enough of us, maybe we can start a group. Okay. But use your county's Department of Aging. There's also a major website called the Area Agency on
On
Aging,
aging. Yep.
AAA. Yes, if you go to them, find out who's doing what in your area. A lot of these places, there's more there than you realize because you never had to use it before or someone you didn't. And again, let me make the point, a lot of the stuff we're talking about isn't just for us. A lot of this stuff may never be relevant to us. Like, I don't need this, I don't need that. But chances are somebody we know and care about may need to know about some of this stuff. It's going to be your happy obligation and job to say, I heard about something. Let me tell you about this. All right. We're there to strengthen each other.
And the best way to build your crew, your support network, your squad, Wendell's Warriors, is not to ask for help, but to just to offer to help somebody else. It's
Right.
and
Right.
pay it
Never turn
forward.
down. Right. Never turn down the opportunity if it's something you can do, that you can do with a an open heart and a kind heart, as opposed to a begrudging heart. If you can do it with a happy open heart, please do it. Yes.
Okay.
The
Now
rewards will come back.
I see it's 1 o'clock, folks, but
Oh, wow.
Wendell, are you okay hanging on for a
I
little bit?
am. Yeah,
Okay,
I
and
just want to
then
do a couple of
okay,
one other
and we'll
point I
get
want to
back to
make.
the questions, and then folks, I'll switch this to a more of a meetup style meeting here, but let's get through the rest of Wendell's slides. And remember, if you have to leave, this is recorded, so we'll have that at proaging.com.
Oh,
Okay, so
okay. So
now
let's hold off on slide 7, and let's do slide 6, and it's a quickie. Okay.
okay,
All right. That's
is that it?
the one called "Keep That Energy Going." That's what it says. There we
Keep
go.
going.
Keep going. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I was going to keep the energy going. Well, keep going. All right. Really important. Stay in regular touch with one another, no matter where or how your group is structured, or your friendships or whatever. Stay in regular touch with each other, because there's going to be changes in your circumstances of any kind. But in order to be really a supportive friend, you got to know what's happening with somebody. And I'm not sure, but Steve, it may have been on your program a few years ago. There was a emergency room doctor who
Oh
talked
yeah,
about,
that was a good
yes,
one.
oh my gosh, that was worth a week's pay. All right. She said, she said, I'm an emergency room doctor. What is it I need that I'm not getting from people's healthcare proxies? For example, she said, if I got an emergency situation, I don't know who this person is. I don't know which medical portal their records are in. I just know I got to deal with someone, and I don't know a whole lot about them. But if this person has the healthcare proxy with them, or maybe it is on their hospital record, who the proxy is, I need to be able to call that person right away and just say, I got a situation here. You're down as the proxy. She said, the biggest challenge I have is people don't know even the most basic things about their friends' general health. Is there a history of heart rate? I don't know. Do they have diabetes? I don't know. All right. Have they been out of the country lately? Maybe they got this virus, or I don't know. All right. She said, the more I know about this patient, the better. All right. So I'm not saying you have to, spill all your secrets to everybody, but people always, as I said before, people need to know who you are, where you are, and how you are. So my two healthcare proxies, the primary and the backup, they have a list of all of my current or chronic medical things that I have about my body, uh, a list of my meds, and if it comes to crunch time, at least they can say, all right, this is what's going on with Wendell right now. All right. And the other thing is, again, keep up with how the news affects your benefits and resources. Find out really what our lawmakers are doing or not doing, because we're kind of at their mercy now, more than ever, just to make sure that we have what we need, and we know how to access those benefits, and we know the right way to do it. So thank you, everybody. I'm looking forward to hearing from you at some point, some of your own stories of how you started a group, or if you had a challenge and maybe I can help you. Maybe Steve can put us in touch or whatever. But I want to thank you all for being here. And thank you again, Steve. You are the best. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, me too. I appreciate you. I appreciate our audience and our community. And folks, I'm going to drop this article. It has Wendell gave this to me before her talk, and it's got her email at the top of it if you want to reach out to her, but it's got almost every and more resources that she mentioned during the talk. So I've dropped that into chat, but let me go back to stop share. And here's what we'll do. How about let's do about 5 to 6 minutes of I'll try to go through a few more questions that are on here. Then we'll shift over to the after party and let folks just randomly talk, and then I'll follow up with the recording. So let's see. Lots of thanks, Wendell. I agree with everybody who's complimenting you on this talk. I feel like it's an amazing resource. Let's see. Uh, Jonathan just ordered a custom T-shirt with Elder Orphan printed on it. I will try to wear it on walks. Jonathan, seriously, and I mean this, Jonathan, I want you to email us. Email me with you walking in that picture, and then I want to have you on one of these discussions and see what kind of conversations come up when you wear a T-shirt like that. And I'm not a fan of the Elder Orphan name. It makes me cry, but I am curious if you wore an Elder Orphan T-shirt, what kind of conversations people would, what comments that would elicit. And also, folks, that's a great way if you're an introvert to have people come to you, is wear a funny T-shirt, wear an interesting hat or something like that. It can open the conversation door there, where you're not the one. Okay. Okay, where are we at here? Um, let's see. Uh, Linda has a really, you guys can read it. It's she speaks as an introvert, and she talks about how she joins groups, but then she invites people to coffee for one-on-one, and that strategy has really helped her. And I actually think, Wendell, based on all the comments, is maybe we do a discussion on making friends as an introvert or something like that, because it always seems like these solo aging discussions land on the topic of how do I make friends. Okay.
They do. And it's very hard to change your programming unless you're very, very motivated. But you are who you are, but we can work with that, right?
Okay. Arlene talks about joining a village, and I added the link to the village to village movement. If you have a village in your community, that's a great
Yes.
place to meet like-minded folks. And if you don't, you can start creating your own. But also, like this group on community as family or solo aging, a lot of the villages create their own
Yes.
uh, groups to talk about these solo aging topics. And hey, Wendell, on that topic, I have been exposed to a handful of solo aging groups, and there's one in particular that there was sort of like a they seem to have difficulty in communicating and what is the purpose of this group and who can join. And like all groups that you come together, there's sort of the power struggle and the communication struggle. Have you encountered that in any of your
Mm-hmm.
travels,
Yeah, well,
and
I've
any
heard about it.
solutions?
Yeah, I have not had it my own groups, but I have heard it from others, and that's why the alignment of expectations, number one, so important. There was a group that I helped start here in the city, and it met for years, but after like 3 years, all of a sudden it fizzled because they they got rid of the community as family meeting model, which is documented. So if you follow the model, you'll stick with it, and that's fine. But after a few years, a few of the people in the group said they really wanted it to be more like just getting together for a grape session, like or group therapy or whatever. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what the group started and what they wanted from the first time. Again, you need consensus. So because they couldn't please everybody, it fell apart. One group, I helped them set up in New Jersey, a religious group, and something like 60 people came to their first meeting. But again, the facilitation was not strong. While some people wanted a real structure like community as family, one guy said, I just want someone to mow my lawn. All right, it's not going to work unless you know. And that's why I encourage smaller groups. Create a mission statement, 1 line, 2 lines at the most. Create a mission statement and put it on all your communications. Make sure that you're always following why you exist. If you're not, either get consensus to change or just get back on track.
I love it. All right. Well, yeah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna move everybody into a breakout room. If you don't want to turn on your camera and mic, that is up to you. Okay. If you don't want to participate, you can leave this discussion and that's great. I also want you all to know something that I've started to do is I anonymize when I put up the chat, I anonymize it. I take everybody's names off of the chat that we post there. So I know there's some folks that we're talking about some of that. So bear with me here. I'm gonna create the breakout room. Um, and okay. Okay, so I've created a breakout room and now I'm going to open it. Okay, and I am